Good morning.
Bye.
Oh.
Goodbye. Goodbye. Hello, it's me, Wyatt, the boy,
And me, Clem, the lobster.
and you're listening to The Lobster and His Boy, in which we're rereading the Chronicles of Narnia in publication order. And in this episode, we will be discussing part 1 of The Last Battle. This is our last book in the series. There's no more, there's no bonus books. And it's just, I don't know, it's crazy.
How did we get here?
How did we get here? I don't know.
Just wandering the cliffs of Narnia. I'm excited. I'm so sad. And I'm just honored to be here on this journey with you. I don't know. I've got a little bit of a cold, so forgive me. I'm a sniffly little lobster.
Yeah, this might be a rough one, but I think I'm ready. I think I'm ready. Like I said in earlier episodes, I think, as we got closer and closer to the book, I remembered more bits and pieces. And I was listening to the audiobook, which is narrated by Sir Patrick Stewart. So I've got Professor X reading Narnia to me.
That's awesome.
And I was just like, I was gooped and gagged and surprised at every turn of events in this first half of the book. Like, I was shocked left and right and center. I was so excited.
Okay, but do you know, like, the first person who came to my head?
What?
I mean, Michael Caine.
Oh.
Like, I don't know why. I was like, who would I?
Narrating.
Michael Caine. I didn't, no hesitation. Like, that is my first thought. Because, Patrick Stewart, excellent choice. I'm just saying, without hesitation or really thinking, like, you could spend forever figuring out the answer to this question. I just thought it was wonderful that my brain's first choice was Michael Caine. But I would love it if you would take us into the first chapter.
Chapter 1.
By
Cauldron Pool. We know that Lewis can start off strong with a single sentence, and he fucking does. He does.
Yeah.
In the last days of Narnia, far up to the west, beyond Lantern Waste and close beside the great waterfall, there lived an ape. We've got like a 1-2 punch here. A gut punch of the last days of Narnia. The last days of Narnia.
Yeah, when have we got to enjoy anything in Narnia?
We just got here. And I thought
we just left.
I thought we were going to have fun at the beginning of this book.
It's the end.
I knew what was coming, but I thought we were going to have fun at the beginning.
No.
And then there's like a kind of fun, it's not a punch, I guess, of the ape, because we have no other non-human primates in Narnia. This is the only one, and we never hear one. The lone ape. His name is Shift. Besides that, I tried to figuring out whether like he was a chimpanzee or an orangutan or whatever. It's not specified, and I feel like it goes back and forth with the visuals of certain things not fitting or whatever. But regardless, we have Shift, our first character. So I looked that up, and all I was getting was Switch with like the whatchamacallit.
Like a Nintendo Switch?
Honestly, yeah.
Like Shift as a name?
Yeah, although here it is. Old English, skiftan, to arrange, divide, or portion of Germanic origin, relating to the Germanic schichten, to layer, stratify.
One who changes or strategizes or...
Yeah.
Divides things.
Right. Which, I mean, strategize, divide, honestly, it works. He is quite quick-witted here. And I wonder how he came to Narnia, because we just saw the birth of Narnia but a couple weeks ago, and there were no apes, there was no orangutans, nothing. So I'm guessing like through one of the portals at some point, maybe. But then like, spoiler for probably like the next sentence, but he is a speaking ape, so he's learned to talk. So that also kind of signifies that he was born of Narnia. But you know, the Narnian air has that crazy effect on humans, so maybe it enabled him to speak if he was already kind of smart or something.
I think you are correct with the portal theory. That would probably make the most sense. I also kind of wonder if there were other creatures in other parts of Narnia that maybe we didn't get to see. Because
Right.
I
Like
know.
in the non-Narnian country, but
Mhm.
like how there's the Telmarines and there's the people who live in Tashban and there's the people who live on the Lone Islands and shit that we only see for
Yeah.
like a second.
Because it says far up the west beyond Lantern Waste. Like maybe it's just in a different section. I don't know. It seemed kind of like Aslan was speaking. I'm so hung up on this now since I was corrected, but I'm like, is it Aslan or Aslan? I feel like saying Aslan is like being silly, but either way, no disrespect to the Great Lion, but who knows? It is possible that he was speaking to that first group of Narnians, and then yeah, like I was saying, he just tootled over to the other part and was like, now here are
Okay.
some other
Yeah.
creatures, or yeah, maybe it was I don't know, for whatever reason in my head I pictured him an orangutan.
I initially pictured him as a chimpanzee, but I then shifted to well, I think it was mostly because I just watched not just watched, but quite recently watched the Planet of the Apes movies.
Uh,
And I kind of pictured him as Caesar at first, which is a chimp. But then later on, he does something, and the way they describe things fitting and stuff, I felt like it was giving orangutan, and I like it more as an orangutan because specifically in the Planet of the Apes movie, the orangutan already knew. Is orangutan or is orangutan? It's orangutan, right? Let me look it up.
I mean, I went to the zoo. Well, I
Orang.
realized also in this moment that in my head, like their body and their maneuvers were that of the orangutan and the orangutan. I think maybe both are correct, but
The orangutan.
the color in my head was not the bold orange of the orangutan.
He is described as being very old, though, so maybe he is more gray, more muted, maybe a little dirty.
Did my brain do? I don't know. Well, just
Your
because
brain literally just pictured exactly what it was. I
I
think
well,
that's what Sluis pictured probably was an orangutan.
but also like chimpanzees are kind of the human go-to when we think of like stories and movies, and up until unfortunately very recently, chimpanzees were kind of like used in everything. And if you haven't seen the movie Nope, there's also a million other references and reasons as to why they shouldn't be used in things. But in my experience, orangutans was that what we settled on?
Yeah, there's no G at the end.
And the orangutans were more peaceful, so maybe a chimpanzee would make. You know what? Who knows? He just says ape.
Yeah.
We're never gonna know.
No. This ape, regardless of whether he's a chimp or an orangutan,
We cut all that out.
I don't know. I'll probably leave it. He's got one neighbor, a donkey, named Puzzle. The word puzzle comes from puzzle, bewilder, confound, which is a frequentive of the obsolete verb pose, from the medieval French épousser, in sense of perplex. The meaning of the word as a toy contrived to test one's ingenuity is relatively recent within the mid 19th century. So I was like, does that mean that the phrase "that's puzzling" like came before puzzles? But then I looked up when puzzles were created, and the first jigsaw puzzle it was around 1760. Blah 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 blah. It was map, and it was used to teach kids geography. It was like those map puzzles where you fill in the countries and stuff were the first like jigsaw puzzles. But the concept of puzzles has been around much longer, with some evidence of spoken word riddles dating back over 2,000 years. The ancient Greeks and Egyptians also had like maze drawings, so I was like, oh yeah, mazes are puzzles. So puzzles have been around like forever.
It seems like a nice friendship, an ape and a donkey, but Puzzle is more like a servant to Shift than a friend.
Yeah, Puzzles does everything. Drags the heavy things, carts the cart, and Shift just like is gaslighting him every second of every day. We need to get rid of the Gaslight Lucy scoreboard because like it's off the charts in this book. Just about everything that comes out of his mouth is used to manipulate Puzzle into doing everything for him. Like I said, this is the most toxic relationship I've read about since my early fan fiction days. He's constantly telling Puzzle that I started crying reading this in like the first couple pages. He's just like constantly telling Puzzle that he's not smart and he's not deserving of anything good, and he's trying to convince him that this is a fair situation, that this is what Puzzle deserves. And it's just disgusting and it makes me so upset. And I'm like, this is page 2, Wyatt, calm down. But
we're barely into the story and everything already sucks. Like it's like the last days of Narnia. Our main character is a jerk and a person who's being manipulated by them, and just eating like Shift eats all the nice food and then tells Puzzle that it's because he can't eat thistle and grass and all the. I mean, to be fair, he can't, but also like that doesn't mean that that Puzzle should only have to eat thistle and grass.
Right, just because he can eat it doesn't mean that he wants to eat it.
So these two bros are wandering around a place called Cauldron Pool.
Cauldron Pool, yes, where they live. It's close by. It's said the big pool under the cliffs at the western edge of Narnia. Not a big pool, but it's the big pool. You know, you go over there and it's the big pool. You'll know. Yeah. It's the big one.
It pours with a noise like everlasting thunder.
Oh, it sounds on it. It's kind of like Niagara Falls is what it sounds like.
But like ooky spooky.
Yes.
Gobbledygooky.
It says it's got its name because the waterfall is constantly churning the water, making it look like boiling water. And they're just wandering around looking for treats and treasures. And Switch sees something that falls down the waterfall and tells Puzzle to go get it. The one without opposable thumbs.
I mean, well, I don't know. I mean, like, are donkeys not good swimmers?
I don't know if I didn't look up if donkeys are good swimmers, but speaking of Planet of the Apes again, I did look up if apes could swim because I'm pretty sure in Planet of the Apes they cannot swim, and that's like a big point. But it depends on what type of ape he is, I think. And this is kind of where I was getting around the like orangutan. Is he an orangutan? Is he a chimp? Because chimps don't like to swim, but they can. I think that there was like reports that they do have a swimming instinct response, but there's only I think one recorded chimp of swimming, one chimp and one orangutan, and way after Sluis would have heard about this. But instead of saying he doesn't like water or can't swim or admitting a weakness, he like blames it on a fake weakness. He's like, my weak chest. I could catch a cold if I go in that cold water. I already feel cold just thinking about it or whatever. He's like, I could die. Do you want me to die? Weak chest also giving orangutan because they're like kind of bare on the chest, right?
Yes, they are more baldy on the chest. Well, and also he's just like he is an old ape, but I mean, you also said it. He doesn't say, well, I'm old and it would, it doesn't make like an actual thoughtful argument. He's just like, just kind of an indignant little turd. And then, I understand how you got upset because what Puzzle says in the next bit is further proof that people will, like, if you tell somebody they're stupid enough, eventually they believe it. And Puzzle says, you know how stupid I am and how I can't think of more than one thing at a time. So he clippity-clops his poor manipulated little hooves into the water. And in my head, I was like, okay, he kind of like kicks himself and then he can use his teeth to grab whatever it is in the water, which is what I'm assuming he did for a moment. But then he or it seems like it's going pretty well until he starts to get caught up in the swirl of the like whirlpool, and it starts like circling him around and around, and then he gets like sucked down under into the water.
Right. It's like a eddy, riptide, crazy concoction of death.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you're getting put down to the bottom of a thing by a waterfall, you're lucky if you're able to get out on the other side and not pushed back into the rocks and die.
Mm-hmm.
But he does. He gets out and he gets this yellow mystery item, and freaking Shift couldn't care less about his well-being. He's just investigating this thing with a capital T.
Yeah. He comes out of the water basically almost drowned in, and he is only interested in whatever this like wet rag of a thing is. I'm not really sure what it is at this point, because all I can think is, you know, all these stories have started off in different ways, but like nothing has made me more aggro than this introduction where I'm like, here are two characters, and I already really dislike one of the two main characters, and I'm not sure if my opinion is going to change.
Yeah. I think it's interesting that he has made a donkey a sympathetic character when we've got Rapidash just a couple books ago, who is like the evil character, and his punishment is to be turned into a donkey. This obviously is not the same donkey.
Was that really 2 books ago?
Silver Chair, yeah.
I mean, I'm not...
Right?
Yeah.
No, Horse and His Boy.
Yeah.
Which was 2 ago.
It's just, it seems like it just was yesterday.
Yeah.
Huh.
Seems like it was yesterday. Yesterday.
Anyway.
This lump of muck, this lump of fluff and gross
Glop.
is a lion's skin.
What?
And Puzzle freaks the fuck out. He's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. We should bury this. We should, what?
Yeah,
This
what
should,
the fuck?
what? And Shift goes, oh, well, it's not a talking lion. There's no talking animals in the Western wilds.
Okay.
But aren't you both talking animals, like, just east of the Western wilds?
Yeah.
Like, is it that wild to think someone would go a couple more feet?
And why is it just the skin? That's so weird.
He's like, oh, a man probably killed him. And Lewis steps aside and goes, yes, this is true. A man killed the lion several months before and skinned it and then left the skin in the woods. He must have got by something else. Because if you're going to kill and skin a lion, you're definitely intending on bringing that skin home. He's like, oh, but that doesn't come up in this story.
What?
Except for the fact that the lion skin existing is like the whole crux of the story.
Yeah, that he just like forget to like that was like just like his one little like glee plot hole that he just forgot.
He
to
needed
anchor.
to have this exist here, and instead of thinking of a real purpose of it.
I mean, at least like in the same story, he's like posting the tweet that Dumbledore was gay the whole time. Like it's I don't know. It's like it's not my favorite, but at least we get it.
Yeah, he's like posthumously stepping aside within the book and being like, "Ooh, those were good."
Sorry.
And being like, "Don't worry, I thought about this. It is real, but also like just
I'm
put
still
it in,
here with you.
Just put it in the story."
Don't worry. Like I know we're going off a little wild, but
Puzzle wants to respect this dead lion and have like a full ceremony. He's like, we should have a funeral. Like, lions are, as we know, quite solemn because of you know who. You know who. Are you scared to say his name, Puzzle? Aslan! But Shift's like, no, I've got plans for this coat. Or I've got plans for this lion skin. It's going to be a nice winter coat for you, Puzzle.
Oh.
He's like, I don't want to wear that shit. That would be disrespectful.
Yeah.
No, I don't want to do that. And shifts his fucking brain around and he's like, oh, you don't go getting ideas in your head. Like, thinking is not your strong suit. Why don't you run down to town in search for oranges and bananas? You know good and well they don't have those types of fruits here in Narnia. But you're going to send him down to go check anyway, even though he's fucking tired. He's wet. He's not a young, spry donkey.
He almost just drowned.
Literally, he almost just died. But he leaves because Shift told him what to think. And so Puzzle heads off to town in search for fruits that he knows are not there.
The one thing I will say about Shift in this moment is like, I this whole next scene I just saw in a very Drag Race sort of way. You know, him swinging himself up to the branch and like going to like his little house that he has, and maybe it's more like
I picture this like the Grinch with the Santa suit.
oh, okay, because I was thinking like George of the Jungle meets Drag Race, but I like the Grinch aspect, but just of him like getting his little sewing suit and then just like
Yeah, he goes out, gets his sewing supplies and
sewing
starts
suit,
sewing. I think you said sewing kit.
sewing kit.
And I hope you can't hear the children, but if you can,
Do you hear the children scream, screaming the screaming, screaming screams?
yeah, he climbs up and gets his sewing kit and cuts up this lion's skin to turn into a suitable cover for his donkey, quote, friend, who arrives later in the afternoon. So this happened in the morning, and he now has spent like half the day running an errand. No oranges, of course. And he's tired. He ran there, he ran back. He just wants to sleep. And fucking Gaslight Switch is like, oh, what's his name? Shift? I called him Switch here.
I didn't even think about it. Yeah, a gaslight shift.
He's like, oh, but I worked so hard on this coat for you, and you didn't even look at it. You don't love me. So Puzzle tries on the skin. He doesn't want this. He doesn't want this.
Yeah, like just, I feel like this story has progressed so quickly into just
Utter blasphemy.
yeah, like he's forcing him to wear a lion skin. Like even if he made it into like a nice fitting jacket or coat, or I mean,
It still would have been gross and weird, but he just makes it look like Puzzle is a lion.
it's like a lion costume.
With strings to tie underneath his belly and his head and his tail.
Oh, like the Cowardly Lion costume from the oh, gross. The Noive.
No one who had ever seen a real lion would have been taken in for a moment. But if someone who had never seen a lion looked at Puzzle in his lion skin, he just might mistake him for a lion if he didn't come too close. And if the light was not too good. And if Puzzle didn't let out a bray and make any noise with his hose.
Wonderful.
Yeah, so it's like, it's perfect. If just fix this thing and that thing, and if you don't look at it, and if you kind of squint your eyes, like almost closed,
We'll just put her in a veil. Dim lighting. No lighting.
I called him Shaft.
Right. If you're gonna call him Shaft, you have to call him Shaft. Who is Mape? Who can trick everyone?
Shift. The
Damn
bitch.
right.
Yeah, Shift is like, oh, people might even think that you're Aslan. You Puzzle's like, why would I want that? We don't want that. Shift's like, well, but if I guide you, if I tell you what to tell them, then we could make everything right in Narnia. Puzzle's like, what are you talking about? It's Narnia, dude. Everything is right.
Yeah, we're good.
He's like, then why are there no oranges? Why are there no bananas?
That's a valid point, though. I know you don't like bananas, but
Because it's not a tropical place. There are evergreen trees. Narnia is not tropical. So there's no tropical fruits. I'm sorry that you're a tropical being in a non-tropical environment. But you can go somewhere else, Shift. You can go find the oranges and bananas if you want to go get some goddamn oranges and bananas.
You know what?
I want to be like you. Shift says Aslan does want this, but it doesn't even matter. He says, anyway, he never does turn up, Not nowadays. And then right after that,
A great thunderclap shablams.
Claps. That claps.
Yeah, a great thunderclap claps back overhead, and the ground trembled with a small earthquake. Both Shift and Puzzle lose their balance and are flung onto their faces, which Puzzle takes as a sign, as a warning, as a Achtung that they are doing something bad and that they should not, and says to Shift, "Take this wretched skin off of me at once." But Shift is like, "Nah, brah."
He's quick. He's like, no, that was a sign from Aslan that we should do this. I was just about to say, Aslan, give me a sign. It was on the tip of my tongue, but before I even said it, because he's that good.
What could a donkey know about these signs?
Yeah, and then he has to, you gotta bash down on your friend real quick when you've got the chance. What could a donkey know about signs? I'll show you a sign, Shift. Chapter 2. The rashness of the king. Flash to 3 weeks later. We see the King of Narnia sitting beside a great oak tree. Which, if we remember our symbolism, is the king of the trees. So we've got the King of Narnia sitting underneath the King of the Trees. Apparently, he likes to spend around 10 days out of the countryside, not far from the eastern edge of Lantern Waste. So on the other side of Lantern Waste, 3 weeks later. Not far from Cair Paravel, but far enough. He's like, I want to get my spring break time on.
Now we get one of our least favorite slewist tropes, which is where this character, before we even get into who this character is, we are told that this character is between 20 and 25 years old.
Just pick one.
Why does it just, yeah, he's
23,
21, 24, 25, 20. You know what? We're just going to call him 23. And who he is
King Tyrion. He's got blue eyes and a fearless, honest face. And I've got the name origins, don't you worry about it. Tyr, from Proto-Brythonic Tyr, means dry land, as opposed to lake or sea. And then IAN, belonging or relating to. We know, Drinian, all the things IAN, belonging or relating to. A king belonging to the land. He's a king of the land. It makes sense why he likes to spend his days in the woods, all the things. He's a true...
He's a wood boy.
Yeah, he's a wood boy.
He's a very wood boy.
And he's not alone. He's accompanied by his best friend, chosen family brother, Jewel the unicorn.
It's giving Hercules and Pegasus.
Yeah.
It's so cute.
They fought in the earlier Narnian wars together, and so they're like bonded by blood. Jewel, gender neutral name that means precious gem. It has its origins in both French and English. The name may have originated from the old French word joule, which means toy or delight. So he's just a wonderful, sweet unicorn, sweet baby.
Sweet yodeling little Jewel. Their hooves are smart, I know, but they're not hooves, they are not... Sorry.
The king is quite happy. He's in a great mood. He's in his favorite place. He's been hearing over the past week or so these messages from the birds about Aslan's return. He heard some squirrels talking about it, a stag, even a Calamine merchant he heard talking about how Aslan was running around in Narnia. And when a badger came the night previous with the same message, it really stuck with Tyrion that Aslan may have indeed returned to Narnia. I like that the badger's word is the one that sticks with him. It reminds me of Caspian, badgers remember. Like, when a badger tells you that Aslan is here, you fucking listen.
Yeah. Well, I mean, especially at that point, how many creatures do you need to tell you?
Right, as well as a Calamine merchant, like someone who doesn't worship Aslan, who doesn't really have any reason to tell you that Aslan is here, is telling you, like, why not?
As you were saying with the badger, once they hear the badger say that Aslan's there, they're filled with hope and excitement. And Jewel's just like, I believe it all. if I seem not to, it is only because my joy is too great to let my belief settle itself. It is almost too beautiful to believe. And the king sigh is a great sigh of relief. And it's like the same thing. It's like, it is beyond all that I had ever hoped for in all my life. Like, this is, like, once, Aslan has not lost his value. Like, he's the king. This is a sighting of the king. This is a very intense emotional start to the story.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in awe of their devout love for Aslan, and I'm also so angry at Shift and the deceivery, and I'm ready to punch a hole through the moon somehow.
Yeah, same. It reminds me of Prince Caspian times where Aslan and the Children of Earth in that case like hadn't been there for a long time. Like it seems like Aslan has not been there for a while. But in this case, the Narnians haven't been pushed into the darkness, into hiding. The Narnians are still loud and proud and in charge and beautifully so. And it's just like this is the reverie and the excitement that Aslan's return last time should have garnered. Is that the word I want?
Yeah.
But they are just kind of scared because it's too good to be true. Like
Yeah.
what if?
Yeah. I mean, and also, like, why?
Why he usually only comes when he needs to come.
Yeah. But this thought is interrupted by some hoofbeats.
Yes, they hear the sound of hooves approaching our pair. Runewit, the centaur. Another character. Ding, 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 ding.
Hey-o.
The word rune is a Scottish noun that means a strip or shred of cloth, and the Latin word wit, videre, means to see. So it's kind of like, also wit, the ability to associate ideas in a way that is unusual and striking. So it's kind of like someone who, well, I interpreted it as like someone who writes down what they know or writes what they see, like on the strip of cloth.
Yeah. Like a
Like
scribe.
a historian, and as
Which,
we see shortly, he is a stargazer, someone who is,
well, he's a centaur.
yeah, they're always looking at the stars and tracking things. It would make sense that he would kind of write these things down. Which was
The closer to the heavens because they're so tall.
this is so cool. I think it says that he runs up with like human sweaty face and also horse sweaty body. Like he
On
has
his
been
chestnut
running.
flanks.
Yeah, chestnut flanks.
Bing, bing, bing. Yeah, why are you describing the flanks of the centaur, Slois?
It's a little sus.
It's a little bit. Just a little bit sus.
Runewit has not come with good news.
Unfortunately, he still gets a bowl of wine though.
Oh yeah, a couple of cups, because they're small cups, because he's got two stomachs. Remember?
I did not.
Yeah, I think they said it in I think that's Silver Chair when the two kids they ride with the centaurs and they stop and they're like, we've already had our breakfast and it took us a while because we have two stomachs. We
Right,
have to
human
eat
breakfast, horse breakfast.
Mhm.
I haven't had a horse breakfast in a minute.
Yeah. Runewit says that there's no sign of Aslan's coming in the stars. And even worse, the stars actually tell a story of the worst conjunction in over 500 years. We've got some good quotes, because the centaurs are always fucking spitting it.
Mm-hmm.
The stars never lie, but men and beasts do. If Aslan were really coming to Narnia, the sky would have foretold it. If he were really come, all the most gracious stars would be assembled in his honor. It is all a lie.
I was gonna say if you could say it like a snotty like valley girl.
The stars never lie, but men and beasts do. If Aslan were really coming to Narnia, the sky would have, like, foretold it. If he were really come, the most gracious stars would be, like, assembled in his honor. It's all, like, a lie or something.
If Aslan were really coming to Narnia,
This guy would have, like, foretold it, I think.
It's a lie.
Right, though? Like, Aslan made the stars. We just saw it. Aslan made the stars. They would be announcing, trumpeting, doo-doo-doo. They'd be fucking singing his arrival.
If he were really come.
If he were really come. And
And
then another fucking line. I know there are liars on earth. There are none among the stars.
I regret stopping.
So good. There are none among the stars.
He is not the slave of the stars, but their maker.
Tyrion is just very hopeful. He's like, well, maybe Aslan isn't going to act in accordance with the stars. He gets to do as he pleases. He made the stars. He's not a tame lion. Why does he have to follow what the stars say?
But this
And Runewit's just like, that's not what I'm saying. That's not how the stars work.
yeah, and then this in Rune was just like he raises his hand to say something just like, well, actually, but then the sound of Rune raising their hand is drowned out by a wailing sound that is quickly drawing nearer.
Wow! 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 Woe for my brothers and sisters! Woe for the holy trees! The woods are laid waste, the axe is loosed against us. We are being felled. Great trees are falling, falling, falling. Justice, Lord King, come to our aid, protect your people. They are failing us in the lantern waste. 40 great trunks of my brothers and sisters are already on the ground.
You're kind of giving fucking Professor Jelani.
Oh my god, yeah.
But which she's kind of dryad-like.
It is, yeah.
A little wisty, little... Tyrion asks, who on whose orders? Who's chopping down the trees?
Murdering the talking trees.
And she doesn't get to answer because she gasps as if shuddering in pain. Shuddering time after time as if under repeated blows.
Sorry, do you want to do a clean?
Then all at once she fell sideways, as suddenly as if both of her feet had been cut from under her. For a second they saw her lying dead on the grass, and then she vanished. They knew what had happened. Her tree, miles away, had been cut down. What the fuck, Lewis? That was what? Why did she have to die? That was unnecessary. I cried again.
I'm very upset all over again.
And also this was... with the audiobook, so having somebody read this and fucking Patrick Stewart, he's doing it too. He's doing voices and he's giving it. It was really emotional.
Yeah, and then you get the
fucking visual for a second. They saw her lying dead on the grass. That is not fucking safe for work. This is not a kid's book. This like literally was blowing my mind. The gaslighting, the level of toxic relationship, the overt death at the beginning, like it's just really punching me all over the place. It was a lot. This book is a lot.
Well, yeah, and then for a moment the king's grief and anger were so great that he could not speak. And then he said, "Come, friends, we must go upriver and find the villains who have done this with all the speed we can. I will leave not one of them alive."
I mean, same. You got killed.
But Runewit is like, I think you should wait a little bit.
Right.
There's strange things happening, and we don't have enough people.
And you're the king. You can't just go rushing off. You're the king.
Yeah, maybe if you could just chill. But the king's like, I will not chill for even the 10th of a second. I have no chill. I am king, no chillian.
My people are being killed. He gives Runewit his ring, his like royal ring, as his way of like, you tell them what I say and they'll believe you because you have my ring. He goes, bring me a nice sized cavalry, a score of men at arms, all well mounted, and a score of talking dogs, and 10 dwarfs, let them all be fell archers, and a leopard or so, and Stonefoot the giant. It's a pretty nice fucking... I don't know how many a score is. I didn't look that up.
I mean, you gotta have your stone-footed giant.
Oh,
A score,
yeah.
let's guess. I'm gonna say 550.
500?
I'm just...
A score is a group of 20.
Fuck.
So he wants 20 men, 20 dogs. That's really not that many people.
Mhm.
I thought it was like 100.
Mine's much better.
I should have actually guessed, but
I was
I
gonna
was
say-
going to say 100.
I actually was gonna guess that Lady Gaga 100 people to fill the room.
100 people can be in a room.
There can be 100 people in the room.
And all it takes.
Just one. But yes, Tyrion is like, I can't fucking wait. My people are being murdered. You go do this thing. We'll go do this thing. And Jewel and Tyrion head off, not talking. We get mention of Jewel's gold chain that hangs around his neck. He's fucking... So, in my boyfriend's copies, Jewel is on the cover of Last Battle. And it's just a beautifully drawn unicorn with a gold chain. And there's like a little blood dripping off the horn. And it's badass and cool and beautiful. And I was like, what the fuck? Why do you have the coolest Last Battle cover I've ever seen?
Yeah, mine's not that cool.
It's really cool looking. Mine's boring.
Mine's cool, but it's a spoiler.
We also did get mention of his blue horn earlier. I guess, I don't know if all unicorns have blue horns in Narnia or if he's special, like a blue lobster. And that's why his name is Jewel, because he's like an extra special unicorn. Because he's got the blue horn.
Have we waited all this time to mention that I'm a blue lobster?
I think so. Yeah, you may have seen some Instagram reels or TikToks of Clem with red lobster claws, but nay, that was a lie. They are a blue lobster. I am the red lobster.
Maybe I'll just be a purple lobster instead. Anyway, King and Unicorn are on the move, on the path, until they get to the river where they kind of just like, in my head, they just, no blinking, no thinking, just bing, bang, boom, into the water.
That's kind of how it's described. It says that he just doesn't really think of how cold it is. He doesn't really think about anything. He just goes through the water.
Yeah,
he
he's
kind
anger.
he kind of holds on to Jewel's neck, and the horse braces against the current to block it, and they walk. It's like they've done this a million times.
Yeah.
And we also get mentioned he dries off his sword. And still not thinking about it. It's just muscle memory. It's like the Aslan, clean off your blade. He goes and he wipes his sword on his shoulder, which is about the only dry thing on his body at this point. Good thing it's a fucking warm springtime day. Jesus.
Right? But of course, they come across something floating in the water that is beneficial. A raft.
Made out of 6 logs, bodies tied together,
Wait a minute.
and a river rat riding on top of them, headed to the coast. The king's like, what is all this about? What is going on? The rat's like, I'm selling logs to the Colombians on the coast. On whose orders? Like, what are you talking about? I'm the king. He goes, on Aslan's orders. But the river's taking him away. On Aslan's orders? Excuse the fuck out of me.
Like Aslan, felling the holy trees and murdering the dryads?
No.
I mean, they would have had to do something super fucked up.
Yeah, like they would have had to. No.
And then being sold to the Calormans, like, it just, you know.
For money,
We're
Aslan
all in
doesn't
shock.
get. Yeah, I was literally just like standing mouth agape. I was trying to do a little bit of laundry while I was listening to the audiobook, and I just stood there mouth agape while I was hearing all of this shit.
I mean, he's not a tame lion.
But no way.
Yeah.
And they are pissed. There's only one thing to do, but they're also scared because what if? Tyrion says, what lies before us? Horrible thoughts arise in my heart. If we had died before today, we should have been happy. If we had died before today, he's wishing he died because the thought that Aslan coming back and being this awful is worse than being dead.
I mean, same.
Jewel says, yes, we have lived too long. The worst thing in the world has come upon us. And they head on because what the fuck else is there to do? You have to find the source of this.
Yeah.
And they get to the logging zone where the king's face goes white.
Right through the middle of that ancient forest, the forest where the trees of gold and of silver had once grown, and where a child from our world had once planted the tree of protection. A broad lane had already been opened. It was a hideous lane like a raw gnash in the land, full of muddy ruts where felled trees had been dragged down to the river. There was a great crowd of people at work, and a cracking of whips and horses and tugging and straining as they dragged at the logs.
Fucked up. This reminds me of those power line things, you know, when you're driving and you see like trees, and then it's like a honk, and it's this row of just power lines and nothing. Like, why did you need to? And it extra hurts because we just saw the birth of this forest.
Mm-hmm.
We just saw Diggory planting the fucking tree of protection. And yeah, Jadis probably cut down that tree after the 900 years or whatever when she came back and overtook Narnia. And I don't know if we officially actually mentioned it, but if just in case we didn't mention it, that is the same Jadis. We understand that that's the same Jadis. I felt like it kind of went without saying when her name is Jadis that she is the same Jadis. But just in case, for the record,
yeah, we did figure it
Jadis
out.
of Magician's Nephew is the Jadis, is the White Witch, is the bad bitch.
The first thing that the king and the unicorn notice is that half of the people in the crowd are not talking beasts, but they're Calormen, which is a bit of a surprise considering that Calormen is a bit farther away.
Yeah,
There's
we've
no
been
reason they should be here.
Yeah, maybe one or two merchants every once in a while to do some stuff, but not hordes of soldiers cracking whips at animals and shouting and chopping down trees.
Oh, not just trees; they're cutting down like the whole forest. I'm furious. You've got your guys who are in charge, who are cracking whips, saying, "Get on, son of a sloth," which is kind of a great.
Son of a sloth is
Son of-
good.
Yeah, and then pull, you lazy pig. These poor animals just like straining themselves, working as hard as they could, and it seems that the horses that the Calormen have brought with them are not talking horses, but even so, they are living beings and don't deserve to be whipped and yelled at. So, based on everything they've seen, still doesn't seem to be a reason that they're murdering the talking trees, or that they're murdering like the Narnian first.
Yeah, they don't understand what the fuck they're looking at. And then on top of all the awful things that we've read so far, another awful thing happens when the Calormene soldier makes contact with his whip on the horse as he's shouting at it to hurry up. And the horse does speak. Tyrion had taken for granted that the horses were not talking horses because why would you ever harness and whip and use a talking horse to pull your cart and pull your trees? But that's what these Calormen are doing. The horse screams, "Fool and tyrant! Do you not see I am doing all I can?" And when Tyrion figures out that this horse is one of his people, one of his Narnians, this rage comes over him and he can't think. He runs down, sword up, the unicorn right next to him, horn down, and they rush forward. Next moment, both Calormen's dead. One beheaded and the other gored through the heart by Jewel's horn. Brutal. Again, brutal.
Gored through the heart. That's metal as fuck.
Yeah, by a fucking blue unicorn horn.
Honestly,
Sick.
that sounds like a great.
And then
way
it's
to
got
die.
like fucking blood dripping down the white fur.
heart in your tubeless. Sorry.
Jewel the unicorn, blood face. And there's no better segue than that. Lewis doesn't even try. He's like, we're going to the next chapter. They fucking killed him. And they killed him. So let's go on to chapter 3. The ape in all its glory.
So we have a very gruesome scene where Tyrion and his horse have just slain 2 Calormen, and he asks the horses, like, how did these Calormen enslave you? Like, has Narnia been conquered? Has there been a battle? And the horses are like, no, Aslan's here, and he said that this is what we're supposed to do. These are his orders. He commanded all of this. And Joel's like, hey, king, tippity-tappity.
Hey, king.
Hey, king. And Joel's like, hey, king, to draw our attention to the fact that the other Calormen who just watched their friends, brethren, homies,
Slain.
be slain are a little bit piffed.
Yeah.
Which is miffed and pissed.
He's like, we gotta get the fuck out of Dodge. Climb on board, he said. And they reared back and sprang into a gallop, running, leaping, out of orbit.
Only thing
To do is jump over the moon. Once they're away, they run for like an hour or something, it says, right? An hour, a mile. I don't know where it says.
I'm just like, I want a count of how many times we've mentioned Rent, just like out of context, and then made, like, never ever
Referenced it.
Yeah, like only those who know will know. It's Paige and nobody else.
Yes.
Paige, if you are listening,
I love you,
we love you so
Paige.
much.
Once they're away, I don't remember. I thought I had it notated how far they run, but they're like, they run, they double back, they do the thing. They know what the fuck they're doing.
Let's see. It says they change direction twice or thrice, and then as soon as they're out of the sight of their enemies, which cross a stream. So I'm gonna say they're far enough away that like
They're probably a mile away. On
Yeah.
horse, on unicorn back. Ooh, that felt wrong coming out of my mouth.
unicorn back.
Well, on horseback. He's not a horse though.
I mean, Jules back.
On Jules' back. Yes. Yes. Thank you. But once they're gone and the adrenaline is also gone, the king feels horrible for killing 2 people when they were unarmed, regardless of how awful the deeds they were doing at the time. They were unarmed. I'm like, well, he did have a whip and was actively whipping, like, but he is dishonored. He didn't say, "Avast, I challenge thee to a duel." You know, he didn't do the thing. He just fucking went over there and chopped his fucking head off. Like, whoa. But the PTSD of being in a war as well. Like, he's been in wars before, and he went into war mode
To protect
his people.
Yeah. But if this is indeed something that Aslan has commanded, like, not only did they kill 2 men who were unarmed, who were working under Aslan's orders, like, they just showed up out of nowhere and did this.
Yeah.
So, like, they're acting on behalf of the Narnian people, but everyone else is acting on behalf of Aslan because of Aslan's orders. So even though they're not wrong, they're not right.
Right, they're like, are we the bad guys? Am I the drama?
Oh my god.
But literally, they're like, I'm the bad guy. Tyrion says that he wants to go back and ask to be put before Aslan, even if it means that he's going to die.
Yeah. I have that quote if you want. Where he says, "Do you think I care if Aslan dooms me to death? That would be nothing. Nothing at all. Would it not be better to be dead than have this horrible fear that Aslan has come and it's not like the Aslan we would have believed in and longed for? It's as if the sun rose one day and it were a black sun."
I know. Or as if you drank water and it were dry water. You are in the right, sire. This is the end of all things. Let us go and give ourselves up. Oh. He's like, I'm right there with you. You literally ride or die. And they're about to go die. He's like, no, we can't both go. But Jules like, oh. Jules not like. Jules says, if we ever loved one another, let me go with you now. If you are dead, and if Aslan is not Aslan, what life is left for me? And they both cry. And me too. And I literally cried again, and I'm going to cry right now.
No, and it's giving, like, when Lucy's like, Aslan, if you ever loved us at all, you know, where,
Yeah.
like, of course they do. Like, this is a recurring theme where the loss of faith, because up until now, Aslan has been nothing but a protector, and I'm goofed and gooped. I'm confused, and I know that this isn't the real Aslan.
I know. We haven't been specifically told that this is a false Aslan. I was calling it Aslan, and then I was like, that's literally blasphemous, and I can't do that.
Yeah, how dare you?
But this can't be Aslan, so it must be Puzzle.
Mm-hmm. Dishonor on your cow,
Dishonor on your family. So they walk back. They just turn around and they cry and they don't say anything and they walk back and
oh yeah,
they turn themselves in.
No, well they say, "I, who was king of Narnia and am now a dishonored knight, give myself up to the justice of Aslan. Bring me before him." And
they're
then,
both tied up.
yeah.
His crown is taken by a Calormian captain and it's tucked away under his robes.
Before we get too far into this, Lewis has many times in the past described people and characters in terms that are racist for absolutely no reason, and this whole next paragraph is just riddled with that. So we're going to carry on with the story and just focus on the important parts of the plot, which is that Shift himself has made himself, I don't want to say like a little like king, but he's definitely made himself into like a little kind of like, I don't know.
He's pretending to be like the hand of the king. They call him, what are they call him the mouthpiece of Aslan.
Mm-hmm.
So they see a clearing with like a little hill at the center, and then on top of the hill there's a stable, like a little building, and then Switch is sitting out front. And it's the visuals here is what gave me Orangutan, like Jungle Book. I want to be like he's the king. He's really feeling himself. There's a big old pile of nuts next to him, and he's eating his nuts, and he's living his life. He's all dressed up, a red dwarf's jacket on, jeweled slippers on his feet, paper crown on his head, with his big old pile of nuts.
And I wonder if this is like a traditional like British like Christmas paper crown, because very simple, very silly.
A little cracker.
It says that his hind paws look like hands, which I think that's the same for chimpanzees and for orangutans. But like, I see what you mean. Like, yeah, he's got jeweled slippers but they won't really stay on properly, and he has a scarlet jacket, but it's clearly made for a dwarf, so it doesn't like hit in the right spots.
Right. He keeps moving it around to scratch himself in the stereotypical like underhanded ape scratch.
The classic.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, here's my note. Now it's making it seem more like an orangutan. Oh, cause when Tyrion turns himself in and hands over the sword, Switch, that's his name, right? I keep fucking switching it up. Yes. Shift. It is Shift. Jesus Christ. I don't give a fuck what his name.
No, it's fine.
No,
I was saying it definitively because I was like, no, I know this because it's not Switch, because it's not Nintendo.
It's Shift. Yes.
It's
Thank
Sega,
you.
bitch.
Thank you. I think I put it as Switch on all these fucking
Sega
notes.
Shift.
But he's a Shift. He's a shifty little bugger.
Dude, the Sega Shift is gonna come out in like next year.
Yeah,
That's just all I'm saying. And everyone, you're welcome.
But he takes Tyrion's sword and puts it over his neck, it's described as. And I feel like if it was a chimp, it wouldn't really do the same thing. But the way that it was like hanging around his neck looking goofy, I feel like it would have to be bigger because it's a sword. So I was like, orangutan. That's my official headcanon, I think.
Yeah.
Is an orangutan. Like Jungle Book king orangutan. Like kind of scrawny, kind of small, but an orangutan.
There's got to be one of our listeners who is an expert on primates.
Oh, please email in, call in if you know anything, especially if you know everything about primates, apes especially. But any primates, I'll take any animal fun fact. It'll be for my Animorphs No.
Absolutely not.
Shift demands to see the head squirrel. He's like, I'll deal with this king and his unicorn later. I've got real business to attend to. Where's the squirrel? He needs more nuts, twice as many by tomorrow. And the head squirrel's like, can I just speak to Aslan about it, please? Like, could I just speak to Aslan? No, you're not allowed. anything you want to say to the lion has to go through the ape. And the squirrels have already given Shift almost all of the nuts that they stored for winter. Like, they don't really have anything left to give, but he just dismisses the squirrel to go and find more. We get some animals speaking up. It's kind of like Animal Farm. A boar speaks up, asking why they can't speak to Aslan. Like, they used to be able to. And Shift goes, oh, that's not true. And even if it was true, Aslan is going to get you in shape now. It's no more Mr. Nice Guy. Like, you said that's not true, but even if it was true, he's like covering all his bases. Aslan never used to come down.
Mm-hmm.
But even if he did, now that he's down for real, he's not going to be nice.
Yeah, he's not going to be soft anymore. He's going to lick you into shape this time. He'll teach you to think he's a tame lion.
Right. Shift is utilizing the fact that the myth.
Oh.
What?
No, I hit the things wrong. Like,
Oh.
he'll teach you to think he's a tame lion. I think that's what it was. It doesn't matter.
He's utilizing the fact that the mythos is so old and people only kind of remember that there was something about him not being a tame lion, but because he's saying it with such certainty that the myth was he used to be a tame lion, he'll teach you that he's a tame lion. He's kind of playing on their ignorance, I guess. It reminds me a little bit of back before people could read and they would go to church to hear the word of God. Like, if he said a little bit of his own thing, they're not going to know because they can't read the Bible. They can't read.
Mm-hmm.
So they just have to believe what he's saying because he is the mouthpiece.
It's
really sad.
It's confusing, yeah, because like in other mythologies and other religions and other spiritualities, like there are times of like the deity just like speaking directly to the people, and then over time using mouthpieces or maybe jumping back and forth in different variants. But like in this world, all they've ever known is Aslan speaking directly to them.
Right.
So, but they also don't have any other reason to not believe him. I don't know. It's one of those things where it's like, he seems pretty reputable, but he's also saying some bonker stuff, and then goes even farther to tell them that he's not an ape. He's actually a man, and the reason he looks like an ape is because he's hundreds and hundreds of years old. So old that he's just like wise as hell, and because he's wise as hell, Aslan will only speak to him.
Mm-hmm.
Aslan can't be bothered to talk to the other animals because they're stupid, so that's why he will tell
Right.
Shift
Yeah.
what's what.
Shift is translating from stupid animal to Aslan capable.
Yeah, he doesn't like Aslan doesn't stand for your nonsense. Like, y'all are just like a bunch of dum-dums, and you don't deserve it.
And another thing, he was hearing whispers that the horses were saying, oh, we just need to get this done. I think it was the horses. Like, we just need to get this job done. He says, oh, no. After this job, the Narnians are all going to go work for the Tisroc in Calormen. And don't worry. You're going to be paid. You're going to be paid, or Aslan's treasury will be paid, and then everybody will get, what they need. The money will be used for the good of everybody. Of course.
Is this episode sponsored by Aslan's Treasury?
This episode actually is sponsored by Aslan's Treasury. Aslan's Treasury, where your gold and goblets will be kept for thousands of years. When you come back to Narnia in 3 million years, don't worry. Your stuff is safe with Aslan's Treasury.
Aslan's Treasury is not responsible for anything stolen, missing, or otherwise misplaced. Anything you put in Aslan's Treasury is no longer yours. It is the property of Aslan's Treasury and is hereby submitted to you, and there's literally nothing you can do. So if you're going to put it here, you're going to put it here forever.
Thank you, Aslan's Treasury.
There is now a dead silence, except the noise of a very young badger crying and its mother trying to make it keep quiet.
And the bear speaks up again, saying, we don't want that. We just want to be free. Shift says, you think freedom means doing what you like? Well, you're wrong. That isn't true freedom. True freedom means doing what I tell you. And the boar says, I don't really understand. And it kind of shuts him down because he doesn't understand. He thinks that freedom is freedom because it is.
Yeah. Well, Abe tells them that Aslan has settled it with his rock and the Calormans and has sold the Narnians to the Calormans to dig and to work for a living, and that all of them are essentially just now working for the Calormans. And the animals are distraught, saying that it can't be true and that Aslan would never sell them to the Calormen. Like,
No
that's
way.
just, it's just impossible.
We get a courageous lamb that speaks up. He says, "Please, I can't understand. What have we to do with the Calormans? We belong to Aslan. They belong to Tash. They have a god called Tash. They say he has 4 arms and the head of a vulture. They kill men on his altar. I don't believe there's any such person as Tash. But if there was, how could Aslan be friends with him?" And everybody goes quiet again because that's the best question that's been asked of Shift thus far. And it's asked by a young, sweet lamb. But Shift is a very experienced trickster and has an answer for the lamb, saying that Aslan is actually just another name for Tash. That the Calormans use different words for the same thing all the time, and that Tash is Aslan. Aslan is Tash. And you can see everybody just deflate. Everybody is crushed. Except for a ginger cat who sits at the front of the crowd and asks if the friend from Calormen thinks the same, that Aslan and Tash are the same. To which he says he does. He doesn't think that Aslan is anything more than Tash or anything less than either. They're both the same to him. And Tyrion cannot stay quiet at this point. He's like, "You're fucking lying. You are a lying son of a..." And he gets punched in the mouth by 2 soldiers, and a third one trips him, and he smacks his head, and he's fucked up. We're told that if he had been allowed to speak, this all could have ended today. The ape would have rued this day for the rest of eternity. But instead, he gets basically knocked out, and Shift is like, take him away, so we can't hear him, and he can't hear us." He gets knocked out and wakes up in the next chapter. Chapter 4.
What
happened that night? When I was reading, before we get into the next chapter, I guess I'll put it here. When I was reading this, or listening to it rather, I was waiting for Aslan to pop out of this crowd of talking beasts. When the lamb spoke up, I thought that it was going to be Aslan because of the lamb at the end of the world. I was waiting for it to turn into Aslan and show them all, and it was going to be a happy, wonderful time. And then it didn't happen. And then it was like, except the ginger cat. And I was like, the horse and his boy, and he was a big ginger cat, and it's Aslan, and it's Aslan. And I was waiting for him to turn into Aslan, and then it didn't happen, and we just like moved on, and I felt crushed just like they did. It was really, and I think that it was on purpose. I think that those 2 call-outs were purposeful by Sluis because they have been forms of Aslan before.
Yeah, I think it was to distract us.
Yeah, they're little red herrings of hope.
The king was so dizzy from being knocked out that he hardly knew what was happening until the Calormen untied his wrists and put his arms straight down by his side and set him with his back against an ash tree. An ash tree?
Sad ding 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 tree symbolism. For centuries, ash trees have been a symbol of healing, magic, and life. In many religions and folklore tales from across the world, there is a world tree or a tree of life, a cosmic pillar linking the heavens, earth, and the underworld, also known as Axis Mundi in Norse mythology. This is an ash tree. So he has been beaten and is now tied to the tree of life, the tree of the world, the tree of passage of everything. Like, they're just, So sad. So sad. I saw it too in like that kind of where they do the audio where it's kind of muffled and like and then like muted and
It's really giving Aslan on the stone table because they bind him with ropes and like around his ankles and
excessively
his
so.
knees. Yeah, and he's like he's tied up to the tree and he's got like a little trickle of blood like running down his from his lip and
The brain does that thing where he's thinking about the least important thing. Like he's like, oh, it tickles on my chin, the blood. It tickles. Oh my god, I can't reach it.
but then of course his main thought is I wonder what they've done with Jewel.
Joel's safety, his brother. And I guess that this was morning time when the whole shit went down because it says that hours and hours pass before evening comes. So I was like, dang, this has been a long day. He's tied up for hours and hours.
Oh yeah.
And just before the full dark of the night, 3 mice, a rabbit, and 2 moles come, not to untie him because they're scared that Aslan would be mad, but they do come to feed him, which is so sweet. And he probably would die without it because he didn't leave prepared. I don't think we got mention of him eating breakfast when he was sitting there in the morning. So he's probably really fucking hungry.
Yeah, and they're carrying little bags on their backs, like they're teeny tiny little mushka snack packs, and then they climb up and like they put their
They give him
cool
a
paws.
wheat.
They put their cool paws on his sore knees and they give him little snuffy animal kisses because they don't want to. They don't know if Aslan said that this is what he wants, but they don't want to see him suffer, and it's just
He's
like
still their king.
he's their king, but they don't want to go against Aslan, so they can't untie him, so they just feed him. Why am I crying here? Like it's just because this is Aslan at the stone table, where the Mushkas come and set him free. Except this time, they don't know what to do. They don't want to go against Aslan, but they don't want their king to die.
And they climb up on top of each other, and with a wee tiny cup, they give him like a shot of wine. And I was like, what about water? Can he drink water, please?
Nobody drinks water
Nobody-
in Narnia.
He drinks little cups of wine.
I imagine it's like a little like finger thimble for something.
And then they give him some cheese, oat cakes with fresh butter, and more wine to finish it off. And now water just to wash off his bloody face.
And then he feels a teeny tiny little sponge dabbing his face.
Then with sweet, sweet Maushka love, they clean him, and it's Aslan on the stone table. He's just not dead yet.
Yeah, it says, what else could we do? We don't want any other king. We're your people. If it were only the ape and the Calormans who were against you, we would have fought till we were cut up into tiny pieces before we would have let them tie you up. We would have indeed, but we can't go against Aslan.
So sad. And they're like, we saw him last night. Aslan, we know that it's him. He came out of the stable. A stable. He was in a tent in Lion Witch in the Wardrobe. A tent, not a stable. But they saw him, and so they know that the ape is legit. The mice also wish that they could have died before all this began. They can't believe that they wanted him to come back. They're like, I can't believe we prayed for this. Like, we wanted him to come back if this is who he is. And I said, no, poor cheapies. Don't believe the propaganda.
Well, he seems to have come back super angry, and they
We
think
must have done something wrong.
that he's punishing them, and it's just so unfair. The creatures are distraught, but they apologize and say that they have to go, and they leave their king to watch the stars come out. And the stars take their time while our poor Narnian king is stiff and sore and upright and tied to a tree.
Another probably hour plus later, there's a bonfire that's lit on the hill between him and the stable, and he sees Shift talking to a crowd, and then bow 3 times at the door of the stable. And Aslan comes out. Something comes out walking stiffly around and says nothing. Shift kind of goes to his ear and pretends to listen to something, and then the lion waddles back into the stable. And this is when even Tyrion starts to the doubt himself, doubt his belief. He goes, "This could be Aslan. I didn't really imagine him to walk stiffly like that, but I've never seen him or any lion really. I don't know."
I mean, what does Aslan look like? He doesn't know. It's just as far as he knows, that big yellow clumsy thing could be Aslan. But he's also really far away. So
Yeah,
like maybe.
and all he's seeing is a silhouette.
Mm.
But then he remembers the nonsense that Shift was saying about Tash and Aslan being the same thing, and he's like, no, 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 it's all fucking lie. The lion creature is not outside of the stable for very long. Goes back in, the fire's put out, and Tyrion is alone again. He has his Shasta moment, believing himself the unluckiest person of the whole world. He thinks of all the kings of Narnia gone past. His great-grandfather's great-grandfather, King Rillian, who had been stolen away by a witch when he was only a young prince and kept hidden for years in the dark caves beneath the lands of the northern giants. That means that our baby boy Caspian's line is still alive, and this is his great 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 grandson.
Damn, that's like over 200 years ago.
It's right about 200 years. I initially guessed right around 200 years, and then I googled how many generations, because I think you also googled how many generations, so like generation math.
Or just, I mean, like, because I thought it was like 50 years is like how I would usually base it, but the internet said 15 for a generation. That was, yeah.
See, this says 3 or 4 generations in every 100 years, with an average of 25 to 30 years between generations. And so I said, okay, Caspian lived to 66, and I put it at 2 generations per 100 years. If he lives at 66 and then dies, and he only has one son, and then that son is around something, and then, but that ratio would be 1,200 years. And that felt more Narnian to me, because there's 1,300 years between Lion Witch and Prince Caspian. But I think it is closer to 200 years. I looked up the timeline, and it is right around 200 years. So I think the internet was right.
For once.
Yeah. I just expected them to live a little bit longer and have longer spanning generations or whatever. But yeah, right around 200 years.
Well, it might also be that they just lived until like their 70s or whatever.
Right.
So, but it mentions that when his great-grandfather's great-grandfather, King Rilian, was gooped and gopped by the northern giants, that 2 mysterious children had suddenly appeared from a land beyond the world's end and had rescued him, and then he came home and had a long and prosperous reign.
And then when he remembers that story, he remembers that his father, not Tyrion's father, but Rilian's father, Caspian, also was helped by some people from strange other worlds. And that those people that time were actually the same people that had been to Narnia once before, and they had defeated the White Witch.
But there were 4 of them that time.
But there were 4. And he's like doing all of this math, and then he's like, but that doesn't happen anymore. He's like building up, but that doesn't really happen. But we gotta pause, because this name origin piece, I didn't want to bring it up right at the beginning. But we've got Tyrion, right, relating to Earth, a man of Earth, and then his great-great-great-great grandfather, Rilian. It means rival, like the whole Emily thing. But also, I don't know if I said this during the original episode, but Rill, just the R-I-L, really R-I-L-L, means a small brook or rivulet. And then Caspian, as we all know, is a sea, the Caspian Sea, while also meaning white and blah, 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 blah. But Latin name meaning blessed one. Regardless, I like the sea one because it fits with my little Siri. My little theory. It's like we're told that these are the last days of Narnia, and we have a king who is a woodsman of the earth instead of the water. Sluis has so many water-based names in all of his characters, but with these three specifically, I see it like the bloodline is like a little bit of a map from the sea, from Caspian, to the river, the little rivulet flowing in, and now we've got Tyrion of the land. It's like the bloodline of the kings is coming home one last time for the last days of Narnia.
Yeah. I mean, well, the first king was
Right.
from
Frank.
London world.
Right. The
Frank,
first king.
king of the
But just with
Franks.
these three, I could picture it like the sea to the rivulet to the
Yeah.
land.
But all these stories, mostly they had been about the golden age of Narnia. And in those stories, Aslan had come up a lot. And also in every other story, too. But,
Right. He
you know,
figured out the secret sauce.
right? They always come when things are really, really bad. And he wishes that they could come right now. And
Right.
he does something that I don't think is silly at all and just calls out
He
out
says
loud.
it's silly, right? He feels silly doing it. But he shouldn't. You pray out loud.
You might, like, what do you have to lose in this moment when you're tied up to a tree and have been there for hours? You just call out, Aslan, 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 come and help us now. Let me be killed. I ask nothing for myself, but come and save all Narnia. And then nothing really happens, and he, for some reason, feels a faint hope, and he says,
That's the if you ever loved us at all, when Lucy prays and nothing happens, but she feels lighter.
he feels stronger and whispers, "Oh, Aslan, Aslan, if you will not come yourself, at least send me the helpers from beyond the world, or let me call them. Let my voice carry beyond the world."
I love that.
And then, not
Attempts to call them.
yeah, not even knowing what he's doing, just calls out in a great voice, "Children, children, friends of Narnia." Do you want to yell it?
No, I just wanted to yell Friends of Narnia with you.
Oh, okay. I can do it again. Children, children, friends of Narnia, quick, come to me. Across the worlds I call you. I, Tyrion, King of Narnia, Lord of Car Paraval, and Emperor of the Lone Islands. And then shaboom.
Immediately plunged into a dream, if it was a dream, more vivid than he had ever had in his life. He seemed to be standing in a lighted room where 7 people sat round a table. It looked as if they had just finished their meal. 2 of these people were very old, an old man with a white beard and an old woman with wise, merry, twinkling eyes. He who sat at the right hand of the old man was hardly full-grown, certainly younger than Tyrion himself, but his face had already the look of a king and warrior, and you could almost say the same for the other youth who sat at the right hand of the old woman. Facing Tyrion across the table sat a fair-haired girl, younger than either of these, and on either side of her a boy and girl, who were younger still. They were all dressed in what seemed to Tyrion the oddest of clothes. The people of London world, cha-cha, they freak the fuck out.
Oh, yeah.
There's a scream, there's a shattering glass.
Mm-hmm.
The king-like one stands up and demands in Aslan's name that this stranger tell them who he is, as he is Peter, the High King. Peter, Peter, Peter. Okay, so this is what, Diggory and Polly are the olds.
Mm-hmm.
And then Peter, Susan, Edmund, Lucy, Eustace, and Jill.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No,
Wait.
I feel like it would be a disservice not to say the whole thing.
Yeah.
Or we assume Peter says, "Speak if you're not a phantom or a dream. You have a Narnian look about you, and we are the 7 friends of Narnia." And then, to no response, "Shadow or spirit or whatever you are, if you are from Narnia." Okay, that's what you said, yeah. And then, I don't know, like, this is giving, like, Harry, like, shoving his head down in the pensieve.
Oh, yeah, the way he kind of... Because he tries to tell them who he is, but then he can't really speak. And then he kind of, like,
I feel like it's like trying to scream when you're dreaming.
Yeah.
Or like punching in a dream where you're like underwater. Because, yeah, he hears them saying, like, look, it's fighting. It's melting away.
Yeah, it's fine. Let's go. And he's like disappearing and it's blacking out, and then wakes up back in Narnia, tied to a tree.
Waking was about the worst moment he had ever had in his life.
Right. You got brought across a world right in front of the people who have helped save your country many times before, and you couldn't even speak to them. You couldn't get the help that you needed. And now you're back in the shit situation with nothing to show for it,
Yeah.
except for the next chapter.
Yeah, waking up into the next chapter.
Yeah, he wakes up out of a dream in the next chapter. Chapter 5. How help came to the king. And he's bummed because he couldn't get help. But shortly, 2 bumps. It's described as a bump and then another bump. Are they pops? Are they like, what do you mean a bump? 2 children appear. The youngest 2 of the party of 7.
Oh.
And they're like, oh my god, we came as quick as we could. But when we saw you last week, a week ago in London World, they saw him.
A week fair maid.
He's like, I just woke up from the dream where I saw you. He says like 10 minutes ago. You just woke up 2 seconds ago, dude.
Yeah.
But the girl starts quickly untying or cutting Tyrion's bonds. And the boy says something to her. Pole! He calls her Pole. It's Eustace and Jill are 2. Eustace and Pole. It's Scrub and Pole. Scrub and Pole. Scrub and Pole come to rescue the king.
And the king asks if you'll help me, and they're like, yeah,
That's
duh.
why we're here.
What else? Why else would you have called for the services of Scrub and Pole?
Yes. They quickly... Oh, this is when I was confused earlier. Our trio quickly and quietly crawl away for about an hour before stopping. So they're crawling, they're zigzagging, they're doing the same shit he did with Jewel, but crawling on all 4s themselves. And then they are able to stop for Tyrion to eat something. He's got... Honestly, they packed a wonderful, wonderful pack of snacks for our friend Tyrion here.
Do you know what they got?
No.
We all know I know what they got. They got 2 hard-boiled egg sandwiches, 2 cheese sandwiches, and 2 with some kind of paste in them.
Yeah, it's as if he hadn't been so hungry, he wouldn't have thought much of the paste. For that is a sort of food nobody eats in Narnia. My immediate thought was a Vegemite sandwich.
Oh, I would
But I
guess
don't
a
think
fish
it is.
paste. No,
It is
well,
fish paste,
yeah,
probably.
They eat Marmite in England.
I think it's fish paste.
It could be Marmite. But anyway, the 3 of them stop after their little snicky snacky and splash off their faces to be like, all right, so let's catch up on like what we're actually doing now that we've had our delicious sandwich snack.
Right. They're headed to one of 3 towers that his grandfather built as outposts. And it should have weapons, food, potentially armor at the very least. And he still has his key.
I'm
But-
sorry, he who?
Tyrion has his kingly key.
In his Tyrion towers?
Yes, for his 3 Tyrion towers. And he's very excited when he finds out that they are the Eustace and Jill that saved his great-great-great-grandfather, Rillian. Jill's like, well, she doesn't know that it's great-great-great at this point. She's like, oh, well, oh yeah, Rillian, I remember that dude. He must be king. This is the quote. He has been dead over 200 years. So it's right there at 200 years. We were both right at our initial guess rather than our attempted generational math.
Oh, yeah. I guess, yeah, he's the 7th in descent from him.
Yes, Silver Chair is in the Narnian year 2356. This is taking place in 2534, 35, like a little less than 200 years. He's filled in on the London World side. Professor Kirk, and they call her Aunt Polly, had gotten all the kids together, partially just to hang out and have dinner, but also the professor, Diggory, had a strange feeling that they ought to all be together. He felt a stirring in the unseen world. And then Tyrion appeared when they were done eating, so, I mean, it was a good instinct of Diggory there. It makes me wonder if he did become a magician, like his uncle. You know, if he did something and was trying to figure out things, and now he has this connection with magic, or if it's a more honest, wonderful, truthful. It must be because he's a friend of Narnia.
Well, the professor said the only way you can get to Narnia is by magic rings, but
Right.
how are there still rings? The
He
rings.
buried them in London World around the apple that he also buried. And then the apple grew into the tree. And then the tree was
Oh.
cut down and turned into the wardrobe. But the rings were left underground in the backyard of the row houses of London.
Somehow I thought the rings were like part of the magic. I guess I didn't consider the fact that they were probably metal.
They were never told what material they're made. They're dust.
Yeah.
They're hardened to dust rings.
Yeah, but like in my head that would decompose, but
Oh,
like
totally.
magic doesn't decompose, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
That would make more sense.
So Peter and Edmund snuck into the backyard of the London row house, dressed like workmen, to get the rings. And Eustace is like, I'm sure it was so fun. I wish I could have gone. But they had to go back to school. They're the only two that are left in school. So this was, I felt like a good point to do a little age check for everybody. Because I feel like, never really solidified. So we've got a full list here. Eustace Clarence Scrubb is currently 16, as well as Jill Pole. Peter is 22, so I think our 23, 24 for Tyrion is right, because it said that he's a little older than Peter.
16 seems a bit old for Narnia. Sorry.
It does. It
If you-
does
if,
seem
like,
a
you're
little
getting
bit old
kicked out
for
at, like,
Narnia.
13 and 14.
Right.
Why the fuck you coming back when you're
At
having your super speed
16?
16?
Peter is 22. Susan is 21. Edmund is 19, with Lucy at 17. We've got Diggory Kirk at 61, and Polly Plummer at a cool 60. She's a young girl, Polly Plummer. She's young. So yeah, they're barely kids, 16. No, but they are getting old. It is quite old for them to be in Narnia.
Yeah, especially when they left last time. They were like little.
They were 14, I think, 13 maybe.
I thought they were younger.
They might have been. I think you're right. I think they were 12. I think that they were only 12 because he was.
I thought he was supposed to be like 8 when the
Because
Dawn
he
Treader happened.
he was 9 in Dawn Treader.
Okay.
Eustace age Silverchair. Eustace was 9 in Silverchair. So yeah, he was probably 8.5 or 9, early 9 in Dawn Treader. So yeah, they were very young on their last trip to Narnia. It's been years. It's been 7 years. Ooh, magical 7 as well. We're going to pause to take a quick sip of coffee here and thank our sponsor of the episode, Friends of Narnia. They were so gracious to give us the wonderful energy and love to create this podcast and make this wonderful content that you're listening to right now. And we just needed to give a huge shout out to the Friends of Narnia. We love you so much, and without you, we wouldn't be anywhere. Thank you, Friends of Narnia.
Thank you, Friends of Narnia.
They plan to meet somewhere on the way down to school because Eustace and Jill take the train to school. Eustace and Jill were accompanied by Professor Kirk, Polly, and Lucy because they figured this is a weird Narnian adventure. It's kind of important. We ought to all stick together. And they would meet up with the two boys to get the rings somewhere, probably, I don't know, east of London, because the two youngest are the only ones that are able to get into Narnia anymore. And I think this is when they explained that Peter and Susan weren't allowed back, and then Lucy and Edmund were also given the same spiel the following time.
Yeah, Aslan said they would never come to Narnia again.
So,
Did
and
he
they
say
didn't.
that to Diggory and Polly though.
No, he didn't say it to Diggory and Polly, and he didn't say it to Eustace and Jill.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why they think they're the only ones back. She says that Peter would be back like a bullet if he thought that he would be able to.
Yeah.
Because he's the fucking High King of Narnia. Of course he would. It's his country, too. Then there was a jerk and a noise and a boom. And like that, they were in Narnia. No rings necessary.
Nope.
But Peter still has them, so maybe he will be able to use them to get in later, but the kids don't think so. But I don't know, maybe.
It's possible.
Aslan said, but, I don't know. He might change his mind. And finally, they arrive at the tower after they exchange stories, and they are able to get inside. Tyrion apologizes for how it's going to look, and the two kids are like, I'm sure it'll be wonderful, like, it'll be fine.
Oh, I just haven't had time to clean the place up.
Yeah, and it's not very nice inside, but they're used to some shit. They've been on adventures. They know what's up.
Yeah, this Eustace is not the same little boy who is griping
Craving.
and moaning on the Dawn Treader, because Tyrion is pleased to see that these two strangers have been brought up well. This is not the same Eustace that we had once met with before. So the hearth looks like nobody's lit anything in it for a long time. So Jill's like, hey, let's go out and get some firewood. But Trinian's like, not yet, comrade.
Yeah, he's like, we need to get weapons. I'm not trying to be caught unawares.
Not again.
And as he's rifling through his armor stockpile, in addition to the wonderful dwarven crafted Narnian gear, there's a different type of chainmail and armor and swords from Calormen. What better way to sneak around in enemy territory than with matching armor?
We here at the Lobster and his boy do not think it's okay to go in blackface, to talk about going in blackface. It is not something that we think is a joke or funny or even I don't know.
A disguise.
Yeah, C.S. Lewis thinks it's okay for them to go in blackface. We at the Lobster and his boy do not think that this is an appropriate thing to do, whether it's fictional or real. But that is what they do. They put on a very culturally insensitive disguise and decide to go out amongst the Calormen. But before they do that, everybody's got to get a weapon.
Yeah, Jill gets given a bow, and she's pretty humble with it, but apparently she's a pretty good shot, as good as Eustace, and that's really it. They pick their weapons, and we end the chapter with a sad meal, dry biscuits softened with hot water and seasoned with salt.
I mean, that's what you get for going in
Yeah, a tower that hasn't
brown
been...
face.
That's what you get for being racist.
Yeah.
Chapter 6. A good night's work. 4 hours later, Tyrion finally lays down.
No way. You gotta do that again the correct manner.
What?
4 hours later.
4 hours later. Tyrion finally lays down, the two kids having already fallen asleep. He tired them out today with training. He was teaching Eustace how to handle the curved scimitar of Calormen. It's quite different fighting with a curved blade than a short broadsword. Short broadsword is not a thing. But with a straight sword.
Yeah.
And also testing Jill's accuracy, which she was pretty good. She was able to shoot them a rabbit, and neither of the kids had a problem skinning it, doing the whole thing. Again, they've been on adventures. They had a rough time with Puddleglum. We're going to have a moment of silence for our dear fallen friend, Puddleglum. Unless Marshwiggles lived 2,000 years. We don't really know. So he could be alive and out there.
Yeah. I guess there's no way to know.
We get mention of how they look more adult here in their world due to the sponsor of our episode today, Aslan Air. Breathe it in and get stronger each day. Aslan Air. Yeah. It's nighttime. 4 hours later, he sleeps a little bit, and their plan is to leave during night to go to Stable Hill. So they went to sleep probably at noon or whatever, and he's going to sleep at 4. He's going to get a couple hours of sleep, and then they're going to go to Stable Hill to save Jewel. That's his plan. He's like, I don't give a fuck about anything else. We're getting Jewel.
Yeah.
And then we can do something else, but first we're getting my brother. Then we can go meet Runewit and the rest of the cavalry. And when night falls, he wakes up right on time. He's the best king that we've had. He's smart. He's honorable. He's what's the word? Chivalrous, I guess. He is smart. He's got fucking communication with his people. He tells them the plan. He knows everything. He's like, it's going to be quicker. We're going in a straight line. We're not doing a weird roundabout way. He gives the pre-battle speech. He's like, listen, when I say go home, you fucking run. No reap-a-cheap moments. No, that this type of false valor, false honor has gotten many battles lost.
Yeah. Don't be a hero.
Don't be a hero. When I say go, when I say run, you run. When I say fight, you fight and you listen. You don't go out on your own. We're going to be following this North Star of Narnia. It's called the Spearhead. And apparently it's much brighter than our North Star.
Okay.
Yeah. And now Jill's fucking picked up all these extra skills. I kept looking it up and I couldn't find exactly when it was mentioned, but she was part of like the Girl Guides back in London World. It's like Girl Scouts. And she's an excellent guide in London, but she's also apparently memorized her Narnian stars as well.
That's impressive considering you can't really see them or study them
Outside of Narnia, and you
Yeah.
only saw them when you were on journeys. But she was journeying through the north and western wilds of Narnia. She was around this area.
Yeah, she's pathfinding.
Literally, she's going about it, and Tyrion's shook. He's like, she couldn't really do this better if she had Dryad blood in her. Like, this is wild. Eustace is like, I know, it's probably because she's so small. And she's like, shh, shut up. You're too loud back there. Be quiet.
And the woods are super, super quiet. Like,
Too quiet.
Yeah, way too quiet. Because on an ordinary night, you would have heard an occasional cheery good night from a hedgehog, and then the cry of an owl overhead, or a flute in the distance, which was party on the dance.
Yeah, someone's dancing. There's a
Moms are having fun. Or like a hammering noise from the dwarfs underground, or like literally anything. But
silence.
it seems like it's a little bit creepy.
It's a sad, dark place, and nobody's alive in the darkness of the woods. On their approach, Jill crouches down and disappears into the tall grass so silently. I'm like, what is this Black Hawk Down? Like, what the fuck is happening, Jill? She's turned into a badass in 1 second.
Good for her.
And she motions for Tyrion to come down with her and says, crouch down. The better. Thee. Because apparently the harshness of an S, even when whispered, is what usually gives someone away. So she says, crouch down. The better. Instead of see better. Like, this is literally some crazy army shit.
It's pretty fly, though.
He sees what he needs to see. There's a Calorman officer, just one guy sitting up at the tent, and he's like, okay, I'm gonna go. You wait for my signal. And if I say run, you run.
No, he says, if I miscarry, fly.
Yeah, if I miscarry, fly. That's so great. And he just saunters right up to the officer. He's like, oh, thank God you're here. These beasts and Narnians all about it. I'm so glad to see another Calorman. And he grabs his hand, shaking it. Breath of fresh air, and then his knife is at the officer's neck. He's like, where's the unicorn? He immediately gives in because he's got a fucking knife at his throat.
Poor unfortunate man.
Literally, poor unfortunate soul. He leads him right to Jewel, who is informed that this is Tyrion, and puts his horn up to the Calorman's heart until he gets untied. Then they shove hay in his mouth to silence him, tie him up real good so that nobody could find him, and like seat him in the stable that Jewel was in. And again, he's such a good king. The communication with the team, the trickery, he feels bad for tricking this guy. And he's like, if I meet you on another day, I might do thee a better turn. So he gets back with Eustace and Jewel. They have a little reunion and start to walk away. They only get a couple steps before they realize that Jill is not with them. My heart, gone. In my feet. My heart was literally sunk so quick because I don't know what the fuck is going on.
No.
And they're like, where's Jill? Do you know where Jill is? And they can't like call out. They're in enemy territory. They start to hear something, and it's dwarf footsteps. There's dwarves approaching, and they don't know. Dwarves might be baddies, might be friends. And then in addition to the dwarf footsteps, they start to hear hooves coming from the other direction. And it's like, fuck, 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 Jill,
Just
where
getting
the fuck are
yeah,
you?
steadily nearer and nearer and nearer, and then a voice whispers to them, "Hello, are you there?"
It's fucking Jill.
Jesus,
It's
Christ.
fucking Jill. And Eustace is pissed at her. He's like, where the fuck were you?
Nice.
Where the fuck
Where
were you? Yeah.
been?
As quiet as he can be.
Oh, sorry.
Where have you been?
And she's suppressing a laugh. She is having a grand old time. She goes, the stable. She went to see Aslan because she loves Aslan. Yeah. And she found out their secret. She says, I've got him. Let's go. And they do. They go for a couple more minutes. And then Eustace is like, what? Who's he? Wait a second. Who is he?
The false Aslan.
The false Aslan.
False Aslan.
Jill had broken Tyrion's rules and gone into the stable alone to see what was up. Found Puzzle. And so she holds him at knife point. She's like, "You're coming with me." He's like, "Okay, I'm down. I don't want to do this anymore. I didn't want to do it in the first place. I'm hungry. I'll go with you." And Tyrion has this kind of dark moment. Like, Eustace has a feeling of relief wash over him, and he's like, "Oh, if she were a boy, she would be knighted right now." Yeah. Tyrion says, "If she were a boy, she'd be whipped for disobeying orders." And they're like, "Oh, you're joking, right?" But they can't really tell if he's joking because it's so dark, and it seems like a no because he immediately pulls out his sword to chop the head off of the donkey. What? To solve this problem. And Jill throws her arms around Puzzle's neck. She's like, "Oh, it was all a mistake. He didn't know any better, and I've got my arms around his neck, so do it. Chop his neck off and my arms." Tyrion is done with Jill.
Yeah.
He's like, "You're very brave. You're probably the bravest person I've ever had, but you are so disobedient." She's giving
Malapert.
she's giving core.
Yeah.
She's giving core right now.
But he says that they'll let the ass live. And he says, "What have you to say for yourself, ass?"
Puzzle explains he was told Aslan wanted this. He didn't know any better. Tyrion starts to understand that Puzzle was really just confused and he didn't fully comprehend what was happening. And then he kind of has the revelation that they don't need to whisper anymore because they've got the false Aslan. They can just show everybody that they've all been fooled, and he stops whispering. And we're told that when you stop whispering after having whispered for so long, it really feels great. And so they all start laughing and talking loudly. Even Puzzle goes, he's just laughing and braying because he hasn't been allowed to make any donkey noises in the last couple weeks, probably. And they go off toward the noise of those dwarven drums to show them the truth. It's like, I feel like this is an early wrap-up of the baddie, but if it's the last days of Narnia, they have to talk about more important shit than this. So they approach 30 dwarves being led by a couple Calorman soldiers and confront them in the next chapter. Chapter 7. Mainly about dwarves.
Why are we... No, like, that's... I feel like we'd be really good at that thing where people try to clap at the same time.
Seeing this spelling of dwarfs with the FS for the plural sparked my fun fact brain, and I knew that there was a Tolkien connection here somewhere. And there is. The plural dwarves with the VES that I feel like a lot more people are familiar with was recorded as early as 1818, but it wasn't really used. The plural of dwarf was dwarfs, FS, but it was popularized by J.R.R. Tolkien in The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings He used it with the VES because it fit with the Old English mythological aesthetic that he was trying to achieve, because a VES felt more flowy. It feels more
It does.
more Tolkien.
Totally does.
The original editor of the puff and paperback edition of The Hobbit corrected Tolkien's dwarves VES to FS, and he considered it to be a, quote, piece of private bad grammar. Because apparently, ding ding ding, fun fact on fun fact, the real historical plural of dwarf was dwarros, which I also remembered once I had read this. DWARROWS, dwarros, or dwarros with a DWE. However, Tolkien only used dwarro in his writing of Dworodelf, the name for Moria. I think that's like the name for Moria in Dwarvish or something.
Isn't like duende dwarf in Spanish?
I don't know.
Whatever. It all
But
comes from the same place.
yeah, but yes, there's just a surprising lack of a Tolkien reference here. He could have easily done a VES in a cute acknowledgement of Tolkien's universe, but he did an FS with a general plural. Unless it was just his editor who did it and he didn't realize.
It means elf.
There we go.
Sorry, I barely parlez-vous the français.
Barely parlez-vous.
So back to the Colombian
Yeah, back
soldiers.
to the story. Tyrion walks up
Where are
and
we? Yeah,
and they like think he's an officer because he's walking up with the confidence of a king, and he asks where they're bringing these dwarves, to which they respond, the salt mines of the Tithrock, Pugrahan, which I didn't know we had heard before, but we had. But pug might come from the Latin pugnus, which means Pugrahan, yeah, Pugrahan,
No, I like Pugrahan.
which means pugnus, which means fist, and Rahan is Arabic for pledge, pawn, or bail. Grahan is also Hindi for eclipse or shadowing, but I kind of like the Arabic, and he uses lots of Arabic with the Tashban and Calorman things, and it's kind of like pledging your fist to the salt mines, like you're pledging your fist to the earth, the Pugrahan salt mines, even though it's not very noble. There are oftentimes enslaved people down there, but he has some good origin popped in there sometimes. I like pledging your fist, and it's the salt mines. Interesting. But Tyrion can't stand these lies. He's like, this is bullshit. This is all a lie. This is what the ape showed you. And he pulls puzzle forward. And now, in the torchlight, up close, the dwarves can immediately see that this is no lion. The lion skin is kind of sloughed, like sliding back. His donkey face is popping out.
Yeah, with grass sticking out of his mouth.
He was secretly snacking
Good for
along the way.
Good for him. Yeah, and they are.
The dwarves, yeah, they're
Unimpressed.
immediately realize they've been tricked.
Yeah.
The Calormans are like, this, something's up, pull out their scimitars or their curved swords and are ready to attack. Ask for the password first. Give the password, said the chief officer. Tyrion says, this is my password. The light is dawning, the lie broken. Now guard thee, miscreant, for I am Tyrion of Narnia. Dang! This is my password. The light is dawning, the lie broken. It's pretty sick. They kill the two Calormen, and the dwarves get the other two. I was like, I didn't know that there was 4, but I guess there was like 2 in the back of the group and 2 in the front of the group. And they're like, yeah, we did it! Hip hip hooray! 3 cheers for Aslan! And the dwarves don't really respond in the way that they assumed that they would.
Yeah.
A couple of them are like, oh, yeah, but it dies down pretty quick. They say they feel that they've heard enough about Aslan to last them a lifetime. Like, it's all a trick. We've been taken in once, now you expect us to be taken in again the next minute? We've no more use for stories about Aslan, see? Look at him, an old moke with long ears. Tyrion's like, oh, are you fucking kidding me? I just told you that this is not Aslan. This is not You think that this is Aslan?
Yeah.
They're like, okay, well, if this isn't, can you show me the real Aslan?
I was like, I don't fucking keep him in my wallet.
I don't keep him in my wallet. I love that.
Like, I can just make Aslan appear. He is not a tame lion.
Which is apparently the wrong thing to say because he doesn't know the propaganda that has been used against these people. That tame lion phrase triggers something in them and they are out. They're shut off. The dwarves are for the dwarves. They're like, okay, so you can't even pull him out. And I bet if you did, he would be a better imitation. Like, no, you just told us, we see now it was a lie. So it must have always been a lie. Because if it was real, he would have come and fucking saved us. And he didn't. So it's not real.
Yeah, you're playing some game of your own. That's the only reason that you rescued us. Like,
Right,
want
you
us to
just
do your
tried to
shit.
get us to come to your aid and now go fight more people. We're not fighting in your wars for some person that you can't even pull out anymore.
Yeah, girl, bye.
Bye. Dwarves are for the dwarves. Queer mention, the dwarves play their queer marching song and they walk away. They go, Rakakatiti ta ta, no, Aslan bitch. Rakakatiti ta ta, I don't want your Aslan bitch.
I said dwarfsies.
Perfect. And there's nothing to do for our party but to continue on, a bit defeated, even though they won the fight. Jill kind of developed a crush on Eustace, apparently. She, like, feels a little shy around him. 'Cause we didn't mention this, but during their fight, Eustace closes his eyes and forgets all of the training that he got from Tyrion. He just blindly swings around his sword and manages to, by the grace of Aslan, manages to kill the Calorman.
Eustace would button smash.
Yeah,
Honto.
we saw it in the fucking movie when he carries that oar and he just turns around and smacks that dude. I hope it wasn't. As they're walking on, Jill developing her crush on Eustace more. They hear someone running up behind them and they have their like, fuck, are the dwarves coming to attack? But it's just a single dwarf. Puggin the dwarf has come to their aid. Sluis has the fucking audacity to step aside and say, of course, one single dwarf could not make a very great difference, but it was somehow very cheering to have one. Excuse me, Sluis, what about Trumpkin? We have been told almost every single story so far that all it takes sometimes is one person to change the tide. One Jill, one Polly, one Eustace. It takes one Puddleglum to change the tide of the whole world.
One
so,
fawn.
One dwarf. Think about what is his name? Thornbutt. What was his name? Do you remember? The one that got in the fight with Cor, twisted his ankle. That one butterfly wing, he got his armor taken off, gave the opportunity for Cor and Corin to both armor up and be in the war and be seen by the king, and boom, ba bop, bang. Literally all it takes is one person. So shut the hell up. This is a wonderful win. I know that there was 30 dwarves and only one of those 30, but if the other 29 suck front butt, then they can go off and piss in their mouth. It's really aggressive. I don't know why it got so aggressive.
I mean, well, no, because you're right. There's definitive proof of the butterfly effect, and there's definitive proof from spirit all around us that one person can make a difference. Picking up a piece of individual garbage off the ground makes a difference. Like,
Yeah.
everything you do has a consequence, whether it's positive or negative or however
Yeah.
you want to look at it. So.
Save one life, save 100 lives. You should always save the life. We'll do a little name origin real quick about Puggin. The Puggins family name was founded in the United States and Scotland between 1901 and 1920, with the most Puggins families in Scotland around 1901. The Poggi surname is Italian and comes from the word Poggio, which means knoll, a small hill or mound. Almost all the dwarves are, they have those earthen names, but I love that. He's just a little hill. He's just a little mound. He's a little guy. They make it back to the tower. Pretty uneventful after that.
It's cold.
Yeah, it's cold. They don't have any food prepared. They're definitely hungry and would eat if there was food, but they just have water for dinner. And
Classic vegan meal.
yeah, for breakfast the next day, Pagan is able to find them some wild fresni, which apparently is rather like our wood sorrel, which I didn't actually look up, but it's just like I think I did. It's like a root or like a little green. And they cook it up while Tyrion dug around in the tower, finding full armor for Poggin, and also finding the time to scold Eustace for having put his blade away dirty. But he never got the Aslan convo after killing the wolf, so sorry. He was on the ocean. I did look up the name origin for Fresni because it's a Narnian original. It's not a real plant. The Italian word fresco, the fres means fresh, and the name ne also comes from the Persian word, which means flute, like a fresh flute, a little fresh flute of green. Also, though, Fresni is a town in France, in the Normandy region of France. They eat their meal, Poggin lights up his pipe, and they start talking about their plan. Poggin fills them in on the propaganda that they missed out on, that they're telling of the king's escape. He thinks that the cat is the one that created it, because it's probably a little too smart for Shift to have created this story.
Sly Boots Ginger.
Mr. Sly Boots.
Yeah, the cat says that Aslan himself suddenly appeared in a flash of lightning and swallowed up the king in one mouthful. Then all the beasts got spooked by the story, and then some of them fainted. And of course, the ape just totally followed it up, saying that Aslan does that to those who don't respect him, so let that be a warning to you all. And all the creatures whined and screamed and wailed, and just more and more bullshit. And unfortunately, all of that only made them more obedient to Shift.
Yeah, like imagine the Aslan you know and love all of a sudden comes back gross and evil and then eats your king.
So this cat apparently is in close counsel to the ape. This is not a good cat.
Almost seeming like the ape is in counsel of the cat. Poggin actually overheard a secret conversation that nobody else heard after a midnight meeting. He left behind his favorite pipe and had to go back for it.
Classic.
And overheard the cat talking to that Colorman officer that they had that little interaction with earlier. And he's clarifying with the Colorman whether or not he thinks that Tash means more or less than Aslan, and they kind of are talking in code. But basically, they both agree that Aslan and Tash are both fake. Neither exist. And so they may as well use people's belief in these fake beings for their own use. And the ape is useful for now because he's pretty basic, selfish. You know what he wants out of this deal, so it's easy to give him what he wants and use him for the now.
Yeah. So they might as well get some enlightened Narnians in their council instead.
Right, but only ones that believe that Aslan and Tash are both fake. So they've got to vet them. Be very, very particular with who they... So now there's like 3 teams. There's the true Narnians. There's the scared 4 teams. There's the true Narnians, the scared Narnians, the dwarves, and this secret Illuminati secret society. And over the course of this story, we started in a nice morning time. We're eating some fresh flute. Ugh, it sounds so gross when I say it just like that. They're eating their fresh green, fried up dinner, breakfast.
Okay.
And now the story is done. It's dark and cold. What was once a sunny day has now been clouded over, and it's cold, like Dementor cold. And then they smell this nasty smell, like something is rotting, something's dead. Eustace is like, was something dead here last night? I didn't smell anything. And Jewel sees something and shouts for them all to look. And all 6 of them saw, and over all of their faces there came an expression of uttermost dismay. They saw the end of the chapter. Chapter 8. What news the eagle brought?
In the shadow of the trees on the far side of the clearing, something was moving. It was gliding very slowly northward. At first glance, you might have mistaken it for smoke, for it was gray and you could see things through it. But the deadly smell was not the smell of smoke. Also, this thing kept its shape instead of billowing and curling as smoke would have done.
It was roughly the shape of a man, but it had the head of a bird. Some bird of prey with a cruel, curved beak. It had 4 arms, which it held high above its head, stretching them out northward as if it wanted to snatch all Narnia in its grip. And its fingers, all 20 of them, were curved like its beak and had long, pointed bird-like claws instead of nails. It floated on the grass instead of walking, and the grass seemed to wither beneath it.
Bro, what? Ew. Ew.
It's giving Babadook.
Ew. It's the scariest thing we have ever heard of in Narnia thus far.
It's the claw-like nail fingery things.
Reaching as if it wanted to snatch Narnia. Ew. Ew.
That's a big-ass bird.
4 arms. Oh my god. Big old bird. Oh.
The bird is a spy.
Puzzle sees it, screams, and runs into the tower. Me too, girl. Me too.
Yeah.
They watch it for a minute. They see this thing creepy and gliding. And I pictured it quite low to the ground. And this isn't a spoiler, but when they see something in the sky later, they think that it might be the thing again. And so I'm wondering how high it is. I pictured it maybe like 6 inches off of the ground. But now I'm picturing it like superhero, a couple feet, 6 to 10 feet off the ground. Really imposing, like, woo, like scary thing.
Oh, I thought it was even higher. I thought it
Oh,
was
like 20, 30 feet in the
yeah,
sky?
like not
flying?
like fully like up there, like where you're yoinking your head to look up at this big ass legendary bird.
Okay, that's also fucking scary. I was picturing it super low at first, just kind of like hovering on the ground. But the higher it gets up in the air, the scarier it gets as well.
Well, Eustace says, "What was it?"
Tyrion says he has seen it once before in a temple in Tashban, the Temple of Tash. Ew. That's
Tash.
fucking Tash.
That's
I knew that.
Tash.
I don't even know if we read about Tash last time when we met him, but I knew it was a creeper who had a bird head. I low-key didn't think he was real. It has come to dwell among us. Shift has called for Tash, and Tash has arrived. Ew, ew. Poggin starts laughing. He's like, people shouldn't call for demons unless they really mean what they say. This is very sound advice, Poggin, and this is also a stance that I believe we here at Lobster and His Boy HQ take very seriously. People shouldn't call for demons unless they really mean what they say. And if you do come into contact with a demon, start praying and don't ever stop. Don't ever stop. If you stop too soon, then you're gonna get got. They always stop too soon, and then they get got.
And if you get fear in your heart for a second, you're dead.
Say 3 Hail Marys.
Stay the course. It's like hit us up if you want the real. If like you have to hold that light in your heart chakra and never stop praying. Not that we've fought demons here at the Lobster.
Literally
Boy.
just felt a pop in my sternum. They go searching for Puzzle, their friend, and I feel like they search for quite a while, but he's just hiding in the tower. It's like they search around, and it seems like it's the verbiage that Sluis uses is as if they're about to give up searching for him before he pokes his head out of the tower.
And he's shivering in the way a dog shivers before a thunderstorm. He's so spooked.
Has it gone? And he's scared because he thinks that it came for him. He's like, I understand how bad I've been. My mistake goes far beyond anything I could comprehend. If I knew that what I was doing could call beings like that into here, he never would have done it. He never would have done it. And it's just like, poor Puzzle. He just didn't understand. Now they get Jules' story of his captivity, which isn't really that much other than he was held captive and he was scheduled to be executed that next morning if he didn't say that the being that they saw every night was Aslan. And here we get our second mention of that brave little lamb and how Jewel doesn't know what happened to it, but he didn't see it. And they have to decide whether to go back to Stable Hill and show off this puzzle false land, or head eastward towards Caer Paravel to meet up with Runewit and the cavalry. Tyrion wants plan A, obviously. He wants to end his people's suffering ASAP.
Yep.
Rocky. But you can't be sure that they're actually going to side with you. They've got propaganda brain. You
Yeah.
just saw it with the dwarves.
Yeah, the dwarves were pissed.
You got 1 of 30.
Mm-hmm.
And you're lucky that the 29 didn't fight you. Because the dwarves are for the dwarves. And the team decides to go meet up with Runewit, which honestly I'm surprised that they are able to convince Tyrion to go get backup first. But it might... This is the thinking that convinces him, is that it might benefit them to have Stable Hill be without its false Aslan for a day or two. If the people say, I want to see Aslan, I want to see Aslan, and they have no Aslan to show, they're going to start doubting that they have the power, that they are actually speaking for Aslan. And they decide to take off their Calorman disguises at
That's
this
why
point.
I was glaring. Sorry. I heard your hesitancy, and I'm like, no, I'm not making that face because of you. I was just reading ahead
Yeah.
in my little text document that I always have right here.
And yeah, they decide to take off their disguise, and they don the Narnian armor and such, and Puzzle requests that they take this lion skin off of him now. And they don't let him. Even though they're going to go meet up with Runewit and cavalry, they're not going to convince people. They can just tie it on him later. They could easily take off the lion skin right now, and they don't. And I don't really appreciate that right now.
And I don't understand why, because, yeah, as you were saying, they could have just carried it. It serves no purpose, and it's hurting him.
Yeah, it's hurting him. It's hurting his heart. Like, yes, you can put it on him later when you need to show them and say, this is what you were shown. This is a false Aslan. Because if you just showed the skin and the donkey, it will probably be harder to believe. But
Yeah,
they
this
don't
isn't
let
like an Inglorious Bastards, like, taking off your uniform moment. This is just...
Yeah, this is a friend who is uncomfortable in what they're wearing. And they should have the space to take it off.
Yeah, somebody could have said, like, hey, friend, you've carried this burden for so long.
Yeah.
Let me carry it for you now.
We get our first flower mention. The snowdrops are out. Snowdrops are out. Primroses are in. So the primroses are blooming. In the language of flower meanings, it has several different meanings and is said to symbolize hope, consolation, and guess what, folks? New beginnings. This is likely due to the fact that they are among the first flowers to bloom in the spring. How many goddamn youth and renewal primroses? How many flowers can symbolize new beginnings and new birth and spring? Like, Jesus Christ.
I mean, I guess the real question is, how can flowers not represent new beginnings and rebirth
guess.
and spring?
But if you're going to go about it and say that all these flowers have different meanings in flower origin language and blah, 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 and then they all just symbolize new beginnings and hope, then come on, work harder. Give me something to work with. But as they walk more eastward toward Caer Paravel, they all start to feel lighter, and Tristan and Tyrion starts to sing an old Narnian song. The chorus goes, ho, rumble, 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 drumble, lumber, which sounds very dwarven, but I like it.
Yeah.
Puggin, along this walk, is telling Eustace the Narnian trees and all the different Narnian plants and stuff, and Eustace is telling him all the London world ones, which I'm like, so is an oak not an oak? Is an oak something else? Like, we've only been told of, well, I guess there's the wild Fresney, so that is a Narnian plant. I take it back. Here's my take it back for the episode.
I mean, maybe it's like a, what is it? Like a cross-pollinated, like,
Oh,
version,
yeah.
like, you know.
Yeah. Hybrid.
Yeah, it was like from a London world oak, but now.
Right, now it's
Narnian.
something else. And we get our little, like, there's Eustace and Puggin having a conversation. Jill is having a wonderful time talking and walking with Jewel.
Yeah, she's fallen in love With the
in
unicorn?
love. Who wouldn't fall in love with a unicorn?
Yeah,
Duh.
but like,
But it's a little weird. It's a little weird. It's a little last unicorn. Like, why are you love her? She's not human.
yeah.
The Jewel is not human. Jewel's telling all of these wonderful stories. Jill's like, oh, I just wish that there was more walking adventures. And she said the same thing in Silver Chair. At the beginning of their adventure, they were just walking, remember? And it was like green. And she's like, I love adventures. Puddleglum's like, this is not an adventure. You're walking.
Yeah, this is the Shire, bitch.
Yeah. And so she's like, I wish there was more adventures like this. And Jewel fills her in to what we already know. And I think we might have touched on it right at the beginning. Kids
Yeah.
from London World only come to Narnia when shit is going down. So we only see Narnia when shit is going down.
Yeah.
There are long periods, thousands of years usually, between that are just peaceful and nothing really happens. It's kind of boring almost. And then we get a little bit of a lore dump here. He spoke of Swan White the Queen, who had lived before the days of the White Witch and the Great Winter, who was so beautiful that when she looked into any forest pool, the reflection of her face shone out of the water like a star by night for a year and a day afterwards. He spoke of Moonwood the Hare, who had such ears that he could sit by Cauldron Pool under the thunder of the great waterfall and hear what men spoke in whispers at Cair Paravel. He told how King Gale, who was ninth in descent from Frank, the first of all kings, who had sailed far into the eastern seas and delivered the Lone Islanders from a dragon, and how in return they had given him the Lone Islands to be a part of the royal lands of Narnia forever. So this is why the Lone Islands are a part of Narnia, because Frank's, the cabbie's great-great-great-great-grandson or whatever slayed maybe the original dragon from Dragon Island.
Who the fuck is Swan White? And is she anything like Sean White? Hey! God,
There is actually a weird thing with this Swan White character because there's an official Narnian timeline or something that was out there, and we're told that she lived in the days before Jadis the White Witch. But if you look at the timeline, she appears after the White Witch stuff goes on. So there's this theory that the secondary Swan White is named after the OG Swan White. Here's a little bit. There's some confusion as to her actual reign. For the timeline provided by C.S. Lewis states that she ruled around the year 1502. This has led to the speculation that there were actually two Swan Whites, a beautiful one who reigned before Jadis during the Age of Conquest, and a namesake in the Dark Age who reigned around 1502. So remember, Pevensies is the year 1000 to 1015 when they disappear. So 1502 is deep in the Dark Age of pre-Prince Caspian return. So like everything's falling to shit again, and they have this queen who reigned, which is kind of cool, I guess.
Yeah.
Like they're trying to bring back the OG Narnia by naming their queen after a wonderful, powerful queen of a wonderful time gone past. Of time gone past, whatever. All these happy Narnian memories are like building up in Jill's head, and she's looking down upon them, just like feeling her heart swell, and she's like, "Oh, I just can't wait for this war to be over so that we can live in peace forever and ever." Jewel's like, girl, all worlds draw to an end.
Or like just to piggyback on what you were saying, Jill says that, oh, Jewel, wouldn't it be just lovely if Narnia went on and on, like you said it has been? And Jewel's like, nay, sister. All worlds draw to an end, except Aslan's own country. And Jill says, well, at least I hope the end of this one is millions of millions of millions of years away. Hello? What? Why are we stopping?
And this is what we call dramatic irony, because we know these are the last days of Narnia, and poor Jill just wishes it to go on forever. But they all stop because someone sees something again, and they all freak out because they think it might be Tash, but it's, well, I guess we don't know it's Tash. Oh, no, we do know it's Tash.
Well, or no, it says
Well, yeah,
that
I
it
just-
was,
yeah.
or it says that the, oh yeah, yes, you're right. Yeah, though that we knew it was Tash.
Mhm.
Yeah, this one though is nothing of the sort because it's small, and it looks black against the blue.
Yes. And it is a talking bird, it seems. Hopefully a friend, not a foe. And as it circles down nearer and nearer, they think it looks like Farsight, the eagle. And it is. When he flies in, he goes, "King Tyrion, I am here." And Tyrion's like, "Since you called me king, I'm assuming you're on my side." And he is. And so Tyrion is very, very happy to see Farsight. But just like when Runewit came, Farsight does not bring good news.
Two sights I have seen. One was Karaparaval filled with dead Narnians and living Calormans. The Tisrock banner advanced upon your royal battlements, and your subjects flying from the city, this way and that, into the woods. Karaparaval was taken from the sea. 20 great ships of Calormen put in there in the dark of the night before last night. And the other sight, 5 leagues nearer than Karaparaval, was Runwit the centaur, lying dead with the Calormen arrows in his side. I was with him in his last hour, and he gave me this message to your majesty, to remember that all worlds draw to an end, and that noble death is a treasure which no one is too poor to buy.
"So," said the king, after a long silence, "Narnia is no more." And that's where we end our episode.
Oh my gosh, I can't believe. I mean, I can, because I know that the next chapter. I can believe because I know that that's the end of the chapter, but I am so sorry.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but we had to split it in half, and this was like, it was right there. Come on, this is a great cliffhanger, but I'm sorry to leave you here.
I know, I guess we're all just gonna have to wait a little bit longer to find out.
What happens? And I haven't. I've read only one chapter ahead of this, so
I've named read one sign chapter.
so I literally don't remember what the rest is, and I am so scared and excited and ready to cry every chapter, just like this one.
I'm honored. I'm excited. It's like I feel like this was the proper build up to this point, you know. Just I feel like before reading the books, you just kind of like plow through it and you don't really take the time to process and digest it. And maybe it's just the tism, but like I know that having ample time to process things like helps me appreciate it more. And like I even now more appreciate how like the perspective of puzzle is a tremendous thing to have, and I'm like really grateful for that perspective, because like I don't think I really like it weighed on me how hard and how heavy like his role is and was.
Yeah, it's
not his fault.
puzzles arc so far makes me quite emotional, and I kind of feel like Jill. I know I feel like I kind of called her silly, but I just want to have happy Narnia times again. Like,
Yeah.
also, I just had the realization that when Jill is talking about this, when she's like, "I wish we had more adventures that were just walking around and walking and walking," is that a jab at Tolkien? Just like a little poke, like, I wish there was more walking in this story.
I mean, those books are all walking.
Oh, but
Walking and orcs.
yeah, my heart is heavy. My eyes are no longer wet, but I want to thank everybody for listening to this week's episode of The Lobster and His Boy.
Thanks for being on this long walk with us.
Yes.
For these thousands of Narnian years, from beginning to what is almost the end. It seems, yeah, what an honor it's been to watch this world be created and get to watch it finish. It's like getting to see the sunrise and sunset in one day. It's not always something that can be accomplished, but it feels like a big win. So thank you.
Yes, and although this is our last book, after we will maybe have some bonus content, little fun things planned. But we've got to finish this book first.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much for listening to this week's episode of The Lobster and His Boy with me, Wyatt the Boy.
And me, Clem, the lobster.
If you have any questions, comments, concerns, ideas for a next podcast series, you can email us at lobsterandhisboy@gmail.com. We are also on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, also at Lobster and His Boy. No capitals, no spaces, no special characters on either of those. And yeah, just thank you again. We love you. We love Aslan. We love Narnia.
Aslan forever.
Aslan for always. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Da, 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 da.